back to the Uniquely Wired podcast. You guys, I am so excited for this episode and to have a very special guest, no other than my girl, Shanett. I'm so excited to have her here. She is all about wellness and just taking care of yourself as an autism mom, but also just a woman in general. We have to take care of our bodies and our minds. I know a lot of us, we might see a therapist, but we might forget that component of like, we have to be careful what we're eating, what we're consuming, what we're drinking, what we're putting into our bodies, because it really affects us in the long run. So without further ado, I do want her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself and just her journey as an autism mom. So go ahead, girl, and tell us.
Hey guys, I'm super, super excited, grateful, and honored. I first want to say thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited to see where this goes and who it touches, and I'm just grateful for the connection with you. My name is Shanett McNeill. I am 31 years old. I have an 8 years old as of yesterday. I haven't, no, as of 2 days ago, I have an 8 year old. She was just 7. Where did the time go? I have an 8 year old who is on the spectrum. She was diagnosed at the age of 3. I am a certified personal trainer and a certified life coach, a wife, mom, just building a life around my family. That's just the small synopsis of who I am. I've
Mm,
been doing this for 7 years. Yeah, so a
wow.
little bit after I had my daughter, I started. So I started my fitness journey by myself at first, like the year before I ended up getting married and pregnant. But the business side didn't actually start until after I had her. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, I just love that. And obviously, I am titling this episode, as you guys can tell already, Balancing Autism Mom Life with Wellness. I'm just very interested in what Shanae can tell us, you
Mhm.
know, on this episode on how to take better care of us. And, I'll start off with this question. How do you prioritize your own well being while managing the daily challenges of autism mom life? And, your girl is like my
Yes.
girl. And we spoke about this on a live that we
Yeah.
both did on your Instagram page. And we spoke about the challenges because they're girls, and we know hormones and all the things. The older they're getting, we start noticing changes in their bodies. So,
Mhm.
I feel like we start, I guess, pouring even more into their
Into
life.
them. Yeah.
That now, how do you do that? How are you prioritizing that?
So, I want to say this is why I'm a firm believer that every phase of our lives is setting us up for something else. Because before she
Mm,
was even diagnosed with autism, I was just a mom, right? I was a new mom, stay at home wife, and all I had was time on my hands to be a mom and a wife, right? So, even with that time where I wasn't working and I was just at home, I developed a routine because I noticed after she was a few months old, I started saying to myself, like, I can see how it becomes so easy to just become about baby and husband and household, right? And that was just something I never wanted for myself. And when I say didn't want that for myself, I'm not speaking down on that role. What I'm saying is we always have to remember that before these titles and roles, we are a person. We are an individual entity that has their own future, goals, personality, needs, and desires. And so I was very intentional about making sure that I don't lose sight of that. Now, at the time when I had
mm,
her, I was what, 23 years old? So I'm like, I'm still young. I can't just throw my whole essence of my youthfulness and me all away. So
mm.
when I started going back into the gym when she was around she was like 3 months old. I started going back to the gym. I would go with my mom and my cousins, other people just to keep me in that mode to keep going. And then
Right.
by the time she was 9 months old, I would say that I was like pretty much set back in my workout routine. And why I decided to keep doing that was because I would go live so other people could like see it and they would be asking me like, how are you doing it? Why are you getting up so early? You don't have a job to go to or anything like that. And I had to explain to them I used to wake up 3 hours before the baby woke up.
Wow.
because I said to
Wait.
myself, "I need some me time before she gets up."
Oh my god. Wait, 3 hours before I could see an hour, girl, okay, but
No, 3.
3?
3. 1
Wow.
I
Okay,
worked
so
out,
what time she was up? So what
so
time she was up and you were up?
she would be up around 8, 8:30, right?
Okay.
So I would get up around like 4, 5-ish. So in that time,
Wow.
I was praying, reading, journaling. I would work out on live. I would make myself something to eat. Like I just wanted to be in a mode where I wasn't rushing, you know? And by
Yeah.
the time she wakes up, I noticed that most of the day I'm spent multitasking. So when it came to my
Mm.
well-being, I wanted to not be rushing. I didn't want to multitask. I wanted that time to just be intentional, where it was just for me, by myself, no husband, no duties, no baby, no nothing. I just wanted to focus solely on just me. So that time worked for me. And honestly, I think that that practice helped me today. Because if I didn't have that routine then, it would be
Mm.
extremely difficult now to start take when I found out she was autistic and all the challenges began to really start implementing taking care of myself mentally and making sure that I'm right. So I would like to say that from childbirth, I think that my life was being set up for this challenge precisely. Between not getting to go back to my job, all these things, I had questions about why is this happening? I didn't want to be a full-time mom, just staying at home. But, God knew best. And it was all for
Yeah.
this purpose right here, because I have
Mm.
the freedom, I have the flexibility to be there when she needs it. She kind of can stay on this
Yeah.
routine because both her dad and I are entrepreneurs. Now, when I first had her, he was still working, but now, alhamdulillah, we're both entrepreneurs. So our life literally is so perfect to fit her needs.
Mm. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge your just how determined you were on like, no, I need to shake this off, right? Because I feel like we all get in this funk, like, oh, well, I'm just being a couch potato. I caught myself doing that earlier too. I'm like, okay, I need to get out this couch and like, get myself ready for the
Yeah.
podcast, brush my hair back. You know what I mean? Like, but again, I go back to saying it is definitely a mindset thing. Like you have
Oh,
to want it. And how bad do you want to make that change in your life? I was just telling my best friend because she had told me she loves working out. And I was like, dude, we need to figure out a time where we are literally prioritizing this part of our life.
hmm
Because if we have time to schedule dinner, go out somewhere and do something fun, we have the time to
yeah,
prioritize this. It's like
yeah,
I tell myself, if I go to church on Sundays, I could make my time to also make this part of my priority. Like, I could go
that's
work
fact.
out. You
the
know what
our
I'm
our
saying?
wellness, yeah, our wellness just comes down to how important is it to you.
It
And
is.
even the other
Mhm.
day I spoke to a lady that's a potential client, and she's like, I have to sit and ponder on this. I said, well, let me give you a few questions to sit and ponder on.
Mhm.
First and foremost, I need you to ask yourself, why does this even matter? Why is it important to you? Yeah, the obvious, everyone knows you should exercise, but no, I need you to tailor this down to you. Why is
Mm,
this important? Is this something that I deeply feel that I want and that I need? And then I want you to identify the pros and the cons of committing and not committing. And then I want you
yeah.
to focus on the cost. What is the cost of me not? Because just like how when we lose money, we focus on how much that costs us to lose our money. What is
Mm,
the cost of you not investing your time into you?
wow.
And you have
Wow,
to
those are
sit on
such
those
good
answers.
questions.
Yeah.
Here I am answering the questions in my Oh, girl, you got me thinking over here. But
You
I
have to,
love that
and then
so
become
much.
it has to become a non-negotiable. Like I tell people, brushing your teeth is a non-negotiable, feeding your kids
Yep.
is a non-negotiable, going to work is a non-negotiable. So I don't want to hear I cannot wake up early, because if your job said that you needed to come in 2 hours earlier for that day, you're going to wake up and you're going to go. Why? Because one, you don't want to lose your job, and two, you want to get paid. But I'll say this, your wellness is way more valuable than even the check that you're going to get from that job. And if
Mm,
you are not okay, they can replace your seat in 24 hours.
that part.
So
That part. Girl, you just
All I'm
dropped
saying.
a lot of mics, okay? You dropped mics,
All I'm
gems, all
saying.
the things.
Yep.
But it's so true. No, I love your mentality. I just think it's so true, and I couldn't agree more. Like it's just it. Last year I was going to Planet Fitness, and I was by myself, and
Mhm.
I was doing it. I would drop off the kids, and I was going. I was spending those $10 a month. I say, you know what? If I could use this to go grab something to eat that's really not benefiting my body at all, when you think about it, I could
True.
put this into that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have all type of subscriptions, all type of things. And here we are complaining about like our wellness and our well-being. I feel like this is just confirmation for me to
Yeah.
just get my life together and do what I need to do. It's just true, and that's why I wanted to bring this on the podcast because from everything that I talk about, I just think this is so important. It really is,
It really is.
and we could just so easily let ourselves go as autism moms. Like we could just let ourselves go. I was just
Mhm.
looking at my class and I'm like, why do I only have like 3 pair of jeans? Like that is unacceptable. I need to go and shop for some more
Yeah.
jeans. Okay. Like what? How does my husband have more clothes than me and my kids? What is going
Yeah.
on? Because I've let myself go. I go out shopping for myself, literally. I'm intentionally like going for myself. No, here I am. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I love this. I love this. Okay, was not needed.
I
What
think
happened
that
with you?
naturally as women we all do. I don't know why that I want to say it's because of our nature to nurture. I want to say
Yes.
that our primary
Yes.
thought and focus, especially when you become a mom or when you become a wife or you
Yeah.
had, a long living partner that you're sharing the space with,
Yeah. Yeah.
naturally we're taught that this is the
Mhm.
role that we play, right?
Exactly.
But what we're
Exactly.
not taught is how to then ask to be nurtured in return. And,
Mm.
I found and heard, I remember one time I did this interview on a podcast and it was like older women there. And the one
Mm.
woman, she was kind of like trying to make me feel bad for being married at such a young age, right? And she's like, yeah, I don't recommend it. And, by the time I was a certain age, we didn't fit into the space anymore together. So I said to her, no, the problem was you grew, but you did not enroll him on your journey. You did not invite him to join you. You did not ask him to be a part of this process that you're taking on. You did not even ask him, what is his vision? What does he want? You cannot
Wow.
grow one-sided. You have to come together. So with every idea, every inspiration, every vision, anything that I had, I always introduced the idea to my husband. I always invited him on my journey with me. It didn't matter if it was just something about me personally. I would say, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to need you to assist me. So at this
Yes.
time frame, this is what I'm going to be doing. And
Yeah.
that's just how we've always managed to work it. We assist, and
Yeah.
now that he's an entrepreneur, we assist each other in
Mm.
this
I love
process.
that. I love that because I am all about marriage.
Mhm.
And I feel like the generation that we're living in, like they don't really value marriage. People don't look at marriage anymore the same way that they did years ago. I know my in-laws have been married for 40 plus years, and to some people it's like, dang, I don't know if I could be married that long. But I'm the same way with my husband. I involve him in everything. He's like my tech guy. I'm suffering right now because I'm like, I hope this comes out right because I'm so dependent on him with this technology stuff. Because he's good at that, right? We're all
Yeah.
gifted in our own ways. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I like to involve him in his gifting. Listen,
Mhm.
you could help me in this area, honey. Even though you're not doing it with me, you could still be
Yeah.
part of it behind the scenes. It's totally
Yeah.
fine. And so I love that. I just love that. I feel like we just covered so much in this little bit
And
of
just that,
conversation.
and that first question right
Okay.
now, these are really good questions, by the way, because they give so much depth of
Yes,
it.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I always do this to myself because I'm like, shut up. Like, listen, move on. Move on to the next question. Okay. So the next question is, what are some practical self care strategies that have helped you stay mentally and physically strong?
So I want to give credit first to culture, right? And I tell people this all the time. I firmly, wholeheartedly believe that the way I was raised and just my background, I'm
Mm,
instantly just a no excuse type of person. So that's first and foremost. And I get it. Not everyone is wired that way, but that's
mm-hmm.
just the way I'm wired. I don't
Yeah.
really have a lot of room for excuses, right?
Yep.
And so
Mm-hmm.
some of the more practical things I do, which this was one thing, and I'm sure this one might help people as well. What I had to learn to do was plan with flexibility. So I used
Mm.
to be kind of a control freak with time and how and when I wanted to do things, right? And then I had to get realistic.
Mhm.
So you got to get realistic. That's first. If you're listening and writing, just write that. You have to be realistic on how you're going
Mhm.
to implement these things. So I had to say to myself, okay, yes, I'm going to write down these time frames and this is how I want to do things. But of course, life happens. I am not the
Yeah.
creator, so there are shifts and divine interventions that will take place at any given time. Now, what I have to do is release my mind from
Mm.
being so confined in this box of it having to happen the way I see it fit. Because
Mm.
sometimes my way, my time, my navigation may just be broke.
Yeah.
And, a law sees it fit for me to go this way and for me to do
Yeah.
it this time. And what I've
Mhm.
noticed with being present with that, like there's so many times where I had to shift my time frame to even go to the gym or something like that, right? And then I
Mhm.
meet someone and it's like the most profound connection or like conversation with another woman that might have an experience that, and I'm just like, I always sit back and I say to myself, this is why I cannot resist to flexibility, because while
Mm.
resisting, I am possibly shutting out the possibility that there is
Mm.
something beyond my control that I cannot see that a law is pushing me towards, but because I'm resisting and I'm
Mm.
upset, so I didn't get to do it at this time,
Mm.
so I just quit and the whole day just
Mm.
goes away. No, we have
Yeah.
to learn to adjust and adapt to our environment. So yes, you can create set times and set routine, but if the inevitable happens that you're out of control, always accept it for what it is. Don't live in it. Start thinking of a solution. Okay, yeah, this time isn't going to work. So let me work with, maybe I could push it back to this time. Think about all the other not priority things that you have on your list that you can probably shift to another day. But I always
Yep.
say whatever is your priority, keep it at the top of the list. If you can
Yeah.
shift it around to a different time frame, the things that are not that much of a priority,
Mm.
shift it to
Mm.
another day.
Yeah.
Shift it to another
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
yeah.
I love that. The whole flexibility thing, I think that's something that I've always struggled with personally.
Yeah.
So I try to just tell myself, give yourself grace because
Right.
listen, the day is going to keep going. The day is not going to stop. It's just going to
Or
keep going and keep going.
at all.
Just yesterday, I'm like, oh my God, it is 4 o'clock already. Like, what in the
Yeah,
world?
no, the time
And then
flies.
you realize, like, man, I could have done this, I could have done that. And you're feeling sorry for yourself when
Right.
it's like, listen, there's another day coming. You got this.
Yeah.
Look forward to the possibilities that you can still get it done. Nobody's perfect on this earth, and we're not
Mhm.
going to be. So we need to really be graceful with ourselves. And it's something that I talk about all the time. Give yourself grace because, listen, it's not worth it just sitting there and stressing yourself. Really, that's not healthy for your body.
No. You're
Having
wasting and you're
anxiety and being
wasting.
stressful,
Yeah, and you're
yeah.
wasting energy. The time invested in, it's so funny, alignment is a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. It's so funny. I recorded a video today and I was talking about just this very thing. You got to
Mm,
learn to see the silver lining in everything. Of
yeah.
course, you can choose to see the bad in the situation. Of course, you can feel stressed out about the fact that okay, I didn't get to do this at this time.
Mm,
I didn't get to, show up here at this time. But what did go right? Can we focus on what did go right? And where is the benefit in this? Even if it's one thing, that one thing is so much greater than the 10,000 reasons you could have given yourself as to why this was a bad thing.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And
mhm.
I think we need to clean our lenses off and we tend to
Yeah.
continue to focus on what went wrong. And then what we do is this, because this went wrong. This is gonna go wrong. That's gonna go wrong. This gonna go wrong. And we go down the entire day of all the things. I'm guilty of it. There's times where I do it, and I have to remind myself and catch myself, like, oh my gosh, stop!
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
we're just in this
Exactly.
moment. Cut it out. Things will realign
Exactly.
itself how it's supposed to go.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's how I feel. And, you know, I know as autism moms,
Hmm.
because I know that's mainly the audience that I have on here, we can also focus so much on the negative part of autism. And I know we
I'm gonna
spoke
focus
about
on the
this
good
on the
part.
live. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can so easy become so caught up on, oh my gosh, like, she couldn't do this or he couldn't do that. that we forget, like, what they're actually accomplishing. And I know my daughter's teacher sent me my daughter's progress report, and I immediately focused on, what she was struggling. And I was like, wait a minute, like the percentage decrease on, her sight words than
Mhm,
how good she was doing just a few months ago. Like, how? Why? The teacher's like, Mom, do not worry about that. I want you to focus. Like, she had to check me.
mhm.
I was like,
Yeah.
God used her to tell me, first of all, I'm gonna check you, sis. She was like, Mom, do not worry about, you know what I mean? Like, so
Mhm.
much about what she's not able to do. But I want you to focus on what she has been able to do and how far she's come in other areas that she was struggling for a while in. And that
No,
was
it's
like,
true.
whoa,
It's
that was like
true.
a reality check. And I was like, you
It
know
is
what? You're so right.
definitely It is definitely a common thread between parents with children
Mm-hmm.
with autism. And I say
Mm-hmm.
parents because I was just thinking about how many times me and my husband played tag and pool with that very type of conversation where we're like, speaking on what she isn't doing, and then we're like checking ourselves in mid conversation, like, but we do see where she is doing this and she is doing that and she's gotten better with this. And
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that she was always
Mm-hmm.
resistant to doing, like on her birthday, we
Yeah.
had like this long conversation about some of the things we should try to do, because I think we are still holding on to the fact that she doesn't do this or she doesn't want to do this, that we're not giving
Yes.
her the grace to know that to believe and trust that she can do these things, right? And
Yes.
I lied to you not. We did. He did. So when she got home from school, he did. And she was just like spelling her name, going on. I sat with her yesterday. I had a book. I was making her read, which we do this, but like I said, she's always been resistant. Like she'll give us
Yeah.
like 2 minutes and go about her business. I
Yeah.
had her yesterday. She read a book for me yesterday out loud, no fight. She
Oh,
read it, and it was just like nothing. And I'm just like,
I love
wow.
that. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
we
saying. But you
do.
know what? Like,
Yeah,
I could have easily just said on that. But what you said in the beginning, that shift of mindset, right? What I
yeah.
said was, instead of feeling sorry for myself or even for her,
Hmm.
I sat there and I said, you know what, Miss Chris, are you able to send me, um, a copy of the sight
Hmm.
words that you're working on with her? Girl. And yes, that's what I'm doing. I have a laminating thing. I laminated the stuff, a bunch of words. We're
Hmm.
gonna start working on them. And I
Yep.
know that after school, it's hard because she comes and she just wants to decompress. She wants her space with her tablet. Don't
Yeah.
talk to her, don't touch her. So I just let her be because I'm like, she's had a long day of learning. So I'm going to implement that in our Saturday routines. You get up, you
Yeah.
have breakfast. Okay, we're going to take a break from tablet. We're going to work on these
Right.
side words
Yeah.
instead of putting so much pressure on her during the week. And I know some people
Yeah.
may agree to disagree, and that's fine because you have to do what works for your child.
What works for your
And if your
job.
child,
Exactly.
yeah, if you have this, we go back to that routine. If she's used to doing these things from the moment she comes home from school, then cool. But she was never given homework because she's in the special ed class, so she
Right.
doesn't get homework.
So
I
yeah,
still
and
ask for it.
I agree. That's where that struggle is when they first come home. It's like they're like, no, I was in school all day being,
Mm-hmm.
monitored and writing hand over hand, all that. She's just like
Yeah,
over it.
she's
Over it.
over it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good one. How do you navigate feelings of guilt when taking time for yourself? And what advice would you give other moms struggling with this? This is a big one because I think we all struggle with some type of guilt when it comes to motherhood. I know I'm experiencing that right now with like Jacob.
Hmm.
Obviously them being two different genders, that alone is like a big difference. And I
Yeah.
find myself like, oh man, I'm pouring so much into Ellie. I'm taking her out, but also like an age thing, right? She's 8, so I feel like I have not been able to do a lot of these things I'm doing with her now because
Yeah.
she was younger, she was still a little immature. So now that she's in dance school, I'm like, oh girl, we're gonna go shopping. Now let's get all the leotards that we could get, right? And then I have Jacob, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad because he's not in a sport. And then that guilt comes in.
Yeah.
So, how do you manage that?
So I feel guilt in like one, because she did gymnastics. She did swimming for a little bit. And I guess that's where the guilt comes in at, because it's just like, Hmm. It's more like a financial guilt, because it's like these things are very expensive, right? And then when
Yes.
we take her and it just seems like she's just not interested or not falling in line. and you try, and then finally you're like, okay, I cannot keep wasting the money, and she's not
Mm,
really adjusting to it. So right now she's currently not in any activity. So I would say that's where I feel the guilt the most, because it's like I really want to know what she's interested in and what. Now I know she loves the music, and I know she loves the water, but I have not been able to figure out how to successfully implement that for her to really stick to like
mhm,
a program in these areas, right? So that is primarily where the guilt shifts in at. But as far as taking time for myself, like I said, my practice when she was a baby, before she was even autistic, already set my mindset in place that I am doing this for myself. But me doing this for myself benefits her. I am no good
mm,
to her if I am not good at all to myself. So, in order for me
mm,
to be the best mom, I don't want to be dealing with my daughter from a strainer. I want to be a full cup, that when I pour my love into her, it's not from a place of strain or a place of like it's a chore, an obligation to give her myself, right? I want to give her myself in a happy space, in a free space, not with all this, stress wound up on the inside of me. So, me taking care of myself is essentially me taking care of her. So, I do not feel any guilt behind when I take that time for myself. Because if I feel
mm.
guilty about it, then that just simply means that I'm operating from a space where I'm lacking something and I'm trying to fill it with her. And that's not her job. I don't need to fill any voids in my life with her presence. That's not what she's here for. I need to be whole
Yeah,
so that I can love
yeah.
her whole and pour into her fully and whole.
Mm,
Right? Because a lot of times,
I love
especially
that.
like, especially when you come across like single moms and stuff, right? That are just like running from pillow to post
Mhm,
and going and going and going. Oftentimes, people judge and criticize these moms when you hear them yelling and screaming at the children. And
mhm,
it's not that they don't love these children. It's not that they're trying to abuse the children. It's just that when you have no outlet, when you have not taken any single time for yourself, the space that you are now operating from cannot service the needs of these little humans. And they are very, very needy. They're very needy, whether they're autistic or not. They are very needy. Autistic, maybe even worse, because you have to pay attention to them 24/7 so that they're not hanging off the
absolutely.
balcony somewhere or underneath the,
Mm.
the sink somewhere. You have
Oh
to
my
be.
god,
So
yeah.
imagine if you're already frustrated with life and adult business. You can't be
Mhm,
anything for these babies. And trust me, I feel like
yeah,
all children feel your shift in your energy, but I really think children with autism, because that is their primary way of connecting, they really
mhm,
feel when you are
mhm.
not totally there with them. They might can't use their words freely or, show different actions, but their emotions, they
Yeah,
feel you. They feel you,
yeah,
right? So we
they
have to be
do.
mindful of
Mhm,
that. And I
yeah,
pray that any mom that does feel guilty about taking the time to themselves, I want you to release yourself from that, free yourself from that, reclaim your time. Remember, you were you before you ever had a child. You always have to be present to the you that lives within you outside of those roles that you play. They are just roles
yeah,
and they are titles. You don't want to invest so much in your roles and titles, because if they ever go away, you are just now an empty shell that never filled the frame with nothing. You didn't fill it up. So, God forbid. I remember I had an all women's event once, and I said to when people were asking what is my why, I said it's not my husband and it's not my child. And everyone looked at me like I was crazy. I said, no, I will not put that responsibility or burden on them. And I will not tailor my happiness or my purpose on them. Because when she
mm,
gets older and she needs to live her life, or she moves on, or if something, God forbid, happens to either one of them, what's going to happen is, which is a natural human instinct, is to now go into a shell. Like, my why doesn't exist anymore. So what am I doing now? What is the purpose for me to do this? So I always say your purpose have to be attached and tailored to you. Solely
yeah,
you. Just like your
yeah,
happiness. It cannot be attached to anything else. Does my daughter make me happy? Of course. Does my family make me happy? Of course. But they are not the source of my happiness.
mm,
They
mm,
are an addition. They are the accessories to me and who I am as a
mm,
person. And
mm,
sadly, all the moms that are going to watch this, I do want you to write down and ask yourself, what makes me happy? And I
yeah,
want you to ask yourself, who am I? And I don't want you to put a mom. I don't want you to put a wife if you are that. I don't want to put your job title, anything. I don't want any of those titles. I want you to ask yourself, who am I and what truly makes me happy? What is my grand vision for my life? So, majority of my guilt, like I said, just primarily dies into financial, not being able to do a lot of the things that I would like to do, but still just, making the best out of the situation and how it goes forward. But no guilt for the self care time that I take. And you
I
should.
know that's right.
And
Yes.
I say that
I
unapologetically. So
mhm.
I'm sure, we can't be everyone's
Hello.
cup of tea. Some people will feel like, oh, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, no. I say that with no remorse and no apologies about it.
Yeah, no,
I don't.
it's true though. And I feel the same way. Like, I don't feel any guilt when I'm taking time for myself. In the beginning, yes, I did. I'll,
Hmm.
I'll be honest, I did. But I think as I got older, I'm also 31. So I think as I got older,
Hmm.
first of all, I think it also stems for how you grew up, right? My mom was
Yeah.
always like, I mean, she always looked great, always got her makeup done, her hair done,
Mm.
her nails done. So to me, like, I was always a girly girl. I grew up that way. My grandma,
Yeah.
rest her soul, she was very like, girl, sassy, girly, heels here and there. I mean, she had to look good to the grocery store. Okay. I mean, now I'm just like, I don't care. I'll wear some
Yeah.
sweatpants. It is what it is. Don't gotta impress nobody. But like, it's crazy how I used to feel guilty, but I've come to realize, like, you just touch on something so, so good. And I just love that you mentioned that about how we can be so quick on judging these single moms that are like at the stores and their kids are giving them heck, like it's just
Yeah.
bad. And but it's so true. They may not have a family member. They may be alone in their city
Yeah.
or state. They may have nobody. This mom might be going through a divorce. She might be going through a very difficult time in
Yeah.
her life that she's going to get angry, and she's going all that anger is just going to stem straight to her kids.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Because they're the
it
closest thing
just
to her.
happens.
They're the one thing that she cannot avoid.
Yeah,
She has to communicate with them.
exactly.
She has to deal with them. So
Right.
it, you know, spills
You
over
gotta
onto
pour
them.
into yourself. You just have to. Nobody's gonna do it for you. You have to pour it into yourself. So if there's anything you take out of this, you have to pour it into yourself,
Have
because
to.
there's no way you're gonna notice. This is how I notice. I'm like, oh, my cup is running empty. It is almost at on low. I looked at my gas tank and I'm like, oh man, this is exactly how I'm feeling right now. I'm almost on E. And I'll be the one
Yeah.
to drive. Okay. And my husband wants to kill me at this point because I'm like, yeah, so I think I could go a little longer. Yeah, I think I could just keep going, But let's just use that parable, right? To use
Mhm.
it into our life, right? Listen, we do that to ourselves too. We be like on
I'm
empty and we're still
laughing
like,
because
let
it's
me keep
so
pushing.
funny. It's
Let me
so
keep
funny
pushing,
that
right?
you use the gas tank because what I just said, and you using the car as an example, that's my husband. He'll run that car on E. Me, I have a severe anxiety once my needle goes towards the half. I'm at the gas station. Like my tank does not go past the half at all.
Wow.
Oh, like so when I go to the gas station, I'm like, oh, I only need 20. They're probably looking at me like this is high. We're going with $20. But it's like if you never allow your tank to run on E, you do not have to spend so much time putting so
That
much
is
into it.
true.
I am so happy you use the car as an example because I do not do that and you should not do that and you should apply that to your life.
I
Do
should
not
not.
run on
Yes.
E. I ask people that when they come to the gym to train, I'm like, would you drive your car on E? So why do you think you're supposed to train with no nutrition?
Yeah. No, but it's
Thank
so true, right? So thank you for that though, because you know what? I'm learning, okay? Give me some graces, okay? I'm learning
you.
because literally I see it and I'm like, I mean, it will be a little past the middle, but at least I'll say like 90 something miles. And I'm like, you know what? If I fill it up now, then it won't be like $60, right? It'll be like 40 because I'm not so low.
I
But
don't
it's
even know
so
if he would
true.
want me to share this or if he would be embarrassed because like recently,
Uh-oh.
yeah, if you end up watching this, just forgive me that I put it. So it was like in November. Right?
Oh my God.
Put
Uh-oh.
the envelope so bad with that gas tank. Like, oh yeah, I can make it. I can make it. To the point where he ended up running out of gas on the side of the road with my baby in the car.
No.
Like,
Oh. No. See, I
When it was
can't even
doing,
say
I couldn't
that
get him or
because
something. I was just
yeah, I'm like, you know what? Like, I've never gotten that low. So, you know what? I don't feel so bad for myself now. Nah,
listen,
that's
my
low. Yeah.
grandfather, that was
Yeah.
something my grandfather always said, especially because he was like the neighborhood ambulance. God bless his soul. I miss that man.
I love that.
Seriously, when we lived in Jamaica,
Oh,
everyone knocked on our gate for him. If something
yeah.
happened, somebody needs to go to the hospital, yeah. So I understood his logic of never go to sleep with your car on E.
Yeah.
He always said that.
Yeah.
You never knew what
Yeah.
the emergency might be. Never, ever, ever go to sleep with your car on E.
That is very
And I just,
true.
yeah,
Yeah. And my husband is that way. He's like, "No, like you have to get gas. You're not gonna make it."
yeah.
And but it's so true, like but that's why I was saying, like we're literally like gas tanks. And then we start getting frustrated, right? Our car is not gonna run anymore because there's no gas.
Hmm.
And so we're not gonna keep running. We're gonna get frustrated. We're gonna start arguing with our spouse or
Hmm.
our partner. We're gonna start coming at our kids for no reason. Anything just gets you agitated. And you don't realize, like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta fill my cup. Listen, I could go get my nails done. And let me tell you, girl, if that's the only thing I do the entire day, I'm
Hmm.
so happy because I'm like, oh, I feel like
Yeah.
myself. I
And
filled up my
that's
tank.
why
That's my little cup.
yeah, that's why
Yeah.
being mindful and present to the way
Yeah,
you're showing up is important because if you're not mindful to even say to yourself, you know what, this thing is
exactly.
not even that serious for me to be reacting like this. I am absolutely
Hmm.
reacting about something else that I need to either release. There's something
Yeah.
that I need to do to remove this
Hmm.
because this was not that bad
Yeah.
for me to explode like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
but you got to be present.
eh, that's what I'm saying. You got to be present. And, my word for the year is intentional.
Hmm.
And this is being intentional in everything. Every part of
Everything.
your life. I don't know if you saw my recent video. I shared a video of me talking about this. I just have to be
Hmm.
real. I literally am hiring my mom to clean my 2.5 bathrooms.
Hmm.
Never thought I would have to do that. But I said, you know what? I have so much going on. If my mom could do it and I know she's willing to, I said, Mom, if I'm going to pay somebody else, I'll pay you. I could trust you in
Hmm.
my household. Not going to trust no random
Right.
stranger coming to my house. I don't know with what malicious mentality they're coming in.
Yeah.
God knows what. You
Listen.
gotta, this is your temple. This is your home. Okay. You gotta be very careful who walks into your
Exactly.
doors. So, and I'm very picky with that. So I'm just like, Mom, I'd rather you. She's like, no, I will hate to give you a price. She's like, just whatever you want to give me. And I said, okay. Okay. First of all, I have not hired her just yet. Okay. Don't judge me. I still have to get my products and whatnot. Because I clean with specific things and she cleaned with specific things. So, but
Yeah.
just going back to just being intentional. If you need the help, you need the help.
Of
And
course.
that's just it. So I think, to finish up the podcast, I will go to the last question. What is one piece of advice you would give to a fellow autism mom who is feeling overwhelmed, right? And struggling to find that balance. And I know I don't like using my best friend is like, why? But because it is balance. But I'm like, I just don't like using the word balance because I'm like, I think it just makes you feel so restricted in a
I
way.
was about to say, I'm like you. I agree.
So yeah.
My first part
Hmm.
of advice would be not try to find balance. Try to
Mm,
find what works for you in that day, in that time, in that moment. I would
mm,
advise you when you wake up in the morning, do a self check. Talk to yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling today? How do I want to show up today? Who am I committed to being today? What is it that I need today? And once you have identified those things, if it is that you're going to need certain support to accomplish the things that you need, then you have to start communicating your needs. If it's that you're going to be unavailable and you can't take on certain things, then you have to make that very clear. I am unavailable at the moment. I cannot take this on and I can't do it. Right. If it's
mm,
that you need assistance with your kid, communicate that. I would hope, I pray. I know that's not always the ideal case for everybody, but I hope that you at least have one person, one, if it's not a spouse, that you can say, hey, I'm not feeling my best today. And I just need like an hour or two because the
mm,
problem is we struggle because we do not ask for help. We struggle because everyone wants to have this flex of, I can do it on my own. Yeah, whatever. Not me. Yeah. Now,
That part.
I'm not a dependent person. There's a difference between being
Right.
dependent
Correction.
on people,
Correction.
but I am not afraid to pay for somebody to do something if it's not in my reach to do it. I am not all about trying to figure it out and master the whole world. No, I stay in the lanes that I am mastered in, and then whatever area I am not mastering, I find ways to utilize other people that are good at it, right? So yeah, check in with
Period.
yourself,
Mhm.
communicate your needs, make that intentional time for yourself. So if it's late at night or super early in the morning, be intentional about giving yourself. You probably can't do 3 hours like I did. Alhamdulillah, I was blessed with that freedom to do that. But 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Just make sure that when you're getting up to go out the door, you're not, you're like completely at ease
Yeah.
because taking that time to wind yourself up. Because how you start your day is going to be the reflection of the rest of your day. So if your day
Mm.
starts in chaos, you're going to have a chaotic day. And even sometimes
Yeah.
when you start your day with peace and mindfulness, things happen. And you got to learn how to reroute yourself back to that space that you started your day with. But if you don't even start your day with some you time, some self love, some self service, then you cannot expect to go out here, deal with life, come home, deal with your autistic baby that needs 100% of you, and be successful at that.
Mm.
So please take care of yourselves. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Check in
Yeah.
with you.
Oh,
First thing in the day, it's you, then it's the kids. It's you, then it's your spouse, then it's your family. Because once you know what you need, then you can properly say to your spouse or your partner, you get, hey, honey, this is the mood I'm in today. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm not doing. I'm a schedule person. I write
yeah.
everything out for the week. I have a clear vision of what energy I'm going to have to exude throughout the week. So I would say that too. Write yourself notes, write a schedule, keep yourself, clear on what it is that you're at least trying to accomplish. Like I said, flexibility. Things might not happen according to the way you plan it. Work around it, adapt, adjust. It's life. Life is happening for us, not to us. Clean your lenses off and choose the perspective you want to see your life unfolding in because life is a choice. Good things, bad things, they're not happening to us. We're choosing them because an experience is just an
Mm.
experience. It's not meant
Mm.
to discourage you, it's not meant to break you. But if that's the way you choose to see the experience, that is the only result you will get from that experience. If you choose to say, hey, um, yeah, yeah, that happened, but I still feel like this is a good idea. It worked out perfect because this goes this way. You will never have a defeated day in your life if you choose to see the experience, take the hard knock from it, write it down. Cool. This was difficult, out of my control. Boom, it happened. It is not consistently happening. We got to learn to stop where
Mm.
the happen at and stop happening all day long. The one thing isn't happening all day. Okay? It ended. The moment
Mm.
it happened, it ended. Stop. Cut it off. Cut
Move
ties.
on.
Move
Just
on. Acknowledge
exactly.
it.
Cut
Acknowledge your
ties.
feelings. Feel it. Because you're human. Feel your feelings. Acknowledge it. Get it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, oh man, this was such a good episode. I am just so blessed by your presence, Shanette.
Blessed. I
And
am you.
yeah, and just to be able to be a blessing to other moms that, you know, might see themselves in our shoes, whatever
Mhm.
that might be, because it could be the way they're eating, the things they're
Yeah.
doing, their addictions. You know, people don't realize food becomes an addiction, right?
Oh, it is.
We cannot idolize food. We cannot. And
Mm-mm.
we tend to do that. And I caught myself doing this a few years back. I think it was when I had Eliana. I was just such a foodie. I mean, I
Mhm.
still am. I love my food, okay? But I
Mhm.
always tell myself, especially if I'm fasting, I'm like, okay, you can live without it. Like, you could just
Yeah.
drink water. You're okay. You're not going to die. Literally. Our bodies are pretty much filled with water. You're
I
not gonna
just it's
die.
definitely that. I made a joke about that the other day on my Instagram. I was just
Yeah.
like, it's so funny to me how during the month of Ramadan, I can do
Yeah.
my normal routines and not eat for the entire day. I'm not angry about it. I'm not wound up. I'm not nothing. I'm the
Yep.
most peace
Mhm.
and at peace
Yeah.
person during this month without food. But do not
Yeah.
get me to do anything
Yeah.
without food on any other time. I am angry.
That's
I am
so
upset. I am
funny.
irritated. I'm annoyed. That's
Yeah.
just the mindset. I'm telling myself I need to eat
Yeah.
this food. Where during this month, I'm like, I need
Yep.
to pray more. I need to read
Yeah.
more. So I'm filling
Yeah.
myself up, not through my
Yeah.
mouth, but through my mind, my
Mhm.
soul, and my heart. And I'm
Yeah.
full.
Yeah.
By the time I break
Yeah.
fast, I'm like full. I don't even want
Yeah.
to eat like all this crazy stuff because I'm full.
Yes. Yeah, but you know what's crazy? Like, when I fast, if I'm fasting in the morning, it's funny because as soon as I say, "Okay, I'm just gonna fast this week," girl, I start thinking about all types of food. And meanwhile, I will go a whole day without eating until dinner time, but I'm not technically fasting. And I told my husband, and I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm just calling this a fast because I mean, I'm pretty much fasting at this point. Lord knows I did not eat anything today. And it's not even the thing is, it just happens. Like,
Mhm.
I have a hard time. I mainly struggle more with lunch, which is technically one of your biggest and most important meals. And I struggle
Yeah.
so much with it. I don't know what it is, but here I am. I'll stuff myself with like chocolate. I'm like, oh, this looks so good. I'm like, this is not it. And I'm screaming at my husband because he's just eating junk. And I'm like, well, that's not technically breakfast. And he's like, well, it's something, but I'm doing the
Yeah.
same thing. Okay. Just the other way around. So I think, if we get anything out of this, you guys, because I don't want this to be super long, I just really want you guys to just be intentional with yourself. And if
And
you need
prioritize.
yeah. And if you need
Yeah.
anybody, to push you, please reach out to Shanae, especially if you're local. But I believe, do you offer like
I
virtual
do
services
virtual.
as well?
Yep.
So if you're in another state and you're like, oh my gosh, I could relate to everything she said on this
And
episode, and you really want to be intentional this year, it's not too late. It is still the beginning of the year, okay? I know some
mhm,
people might have started in January, but it is not too late if you want to start now to
mhm.
make your life better with your
Yeah.
health. It is so important. And this is not about looking slim and being fit and having all these muscles and
Mm-mm.
whatnot. It's about being healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, healthy,
Yeah.
because the food that we eat makes
Yeah.
us sick, believe it or not. I mean,
And
we just don't eat whatever,
I really
especially
do want to
yeah.
add this tip
Mhm.
as far as wellness is concerned for your household. So whenever I made any type of nutritional changes of how I wanted to eat, it wasn't negotiated. It wasn't I'm
Yeah.
eating this and I'm going to make something different for my husband to eat or the kid. No, 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 no. It was the whole household was on that
Yep.
same
Yep.
yeah. So because
Exactly.
how is it making sense that I'm going to take care of me? I'm going to eat well over here, and then I'm going to continue to give my family junk.
Junk. Exactly.
So when you
Trash.
make those changes, the easiest route is to make sure that the entire house. That's why I said
Yeah.
enroll your partner, enroll your family,
Yeah.
introduce them.
Mhm.
This is
Mhm.
what my thought process is. This is what I want to do. And I feel like we're going to do this together as a family, starting with this and
Exactly.
this and this.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. Like last year, I know we started the whole, just eating better, going to Whole Foods and just
Hmm.
shopping for more organic stuff that's just better for us. If we
Hmm.
like soda, we were obsessed with soda, but just like junk, Pepsi, Coke, not good for you. And once my husband started having some issues with his health, let me tell you, we changed what we were eating. And when I tell you, because we were ordering out a lot too.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I'm sure a lot of families could relate to that because it,
Yeah.
it could be so difficult sometimes. The day goes by so fast. I took out the salmon because I'm like, we're having salmon tonight. Love me some salmon with some white rice on the side, some salad. Good. Great meal,
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. It's still food you're eating and it's good for you, right? You're
Yeah.
having your rice, just make sure you're portion things out. You're good.
Yeah.
Be mindful, but also be, I guess, intentional, right? Just with
Yeah.
what you're
Be-
doing. Be
Because
intentional. Just
when it
take care
comes
of
to your
yourself.
health, when it comes to your health and wellness, I say this to the people that find it more expensive to go that route, right? You're going to pay for your health either way. one or two ways. Either you're going to spend the latter part of your life paying medical bills and expenses when you're miserable on 1,000 medications and going through the ringers, or you can choose a preventative lifestyle where you are investing. Because, see, in the latter part of your years, that's spending. Because you're just borrowing time to stay alive now with this money, paying to repair all the things that you wasted so many years damaging.
Okay.
Or you can choose to invest in this part of your life into your health and wellness, right? So
It's
you
an
have a choice.
investment.
Either way, you're going
Yeah,
to pay.
that's yep. We have to see it as an investment, that
Mhm.
part. We cannot see it as, oh,
Yeah,
this is just another bill. This is extra money. My husband, when he was like, you know what? This is a big bill, but at the end of the day, it's better for us. And I said,
yeah,
okay, honey, that part, mentality change. Okay, come on now. So that just made me so happy. But, anyways, I'm just so thankful that we were able to do this episode together and be
yeah.
able to
I'm
have you on this
happy.
season.
Yes,
So, guys, I'm gonna leave her
this is
information down
great.
below, her Instagram page, her email.
Yeah,
If you guys wanna join her, if you have any wellness questions, maybe you have something specific you really want to work on, reach
yeah.
out to her, okay? Because I
Feel
know nothing
free.
about it. Do not reach out to
Yep.
me about wellness because I'm not the right person. We go back to saying, go to the person that
I'm
has the
very
gift.
approachable. I'm available if you need me.
She
Reach
really
out to
is.
me.
Yes,
There's no
she
dumb
really is.
question. There's no need to
Right.
feel ashamed or
Hmm.
anything.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I am all
So
in.
thank
Judge
you.
free zone.
Yes. Yes, and I love that. I love that so much. So thank you so much, Shanae, for being on the podcast
Thank
and for being
you.
here. I'm so excited. I'm so
Thank
excited
you.
for
This
what this
this
is
was a
gonna
lot of
do.
fun. I love this. I love
Yeah,
this. This just gave me
yeah,
so much energy, like I just had coffee or something, and I did not.
yeah. I love it. I love it.
But
I
I
love
love
it so much. Okay, guys.
it.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Please make sure you like the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. And if you're listening to any digital platform, make sure you leave us a review of the podcast. And if you've really enjoyed this episode, please share it with your close friend that you've been talking about, working out together, having a wellness life, and
Yeah,
adding this part of your routine. Do it, girl. Do it. We are here to tell you, do it.
just do it.
Spend the money, invest it, and do
Do
it.
it.
Okay. So, anyways, thank you so much, guys. We will see you
Thank
again on the next
you.
episode of the Uniquely Wired podcast.